Hey, Armin here. Welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show, where we cover training, nutrition, supplementation strategies, and a whole lot more. So stand by. Hey, welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
And I'm Frank Mills. Thank you so much for joining us today. Whether you're watching or listening, we definitely appreciate you joining us. We've got a great show for you today, Arm and I. We're going to be talking about the benefits of using heart rate variability for better recovery. So that's very important. And also, we've got your fan questions pouring in, so we'll be going through those as well. So, Armin, pretty interesting topic. Where in the heck did you come up with this one?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, for me, what happened is recently I bought an Aura ring,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
back in late July of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been learning more from using this ring about my recovery and sleep habits.
Right.
And that's where I really started learning more about the heart rate variability, because that's one of the key things that they have in there. So I thought this would be a good topic for people to be aware of, because I've learned some things that I think are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody's going to be moving in this direction in the future. So,
Okay. All right. Now, is this the only device that you know that actually measures HRV, or are there others?
actually, you can also use an Apple Watch as another tool, or
Mm-hmm.
what's called a Whoop wrist strap,
Whoop.
which
Huh?
is,
Okay.
yeah, a little different. But there's other options as well.
Okay.
But these are the ones that I'm really familiar with. But there's probably some other ones out there, and you're going to see more and more of it coming because of
Mm-hmm.
what they're learning about it. So,
Gotcha. Well, why don't you tell us why it's so important about knowing about your HRV level?
all right. So, from what I'm learning is using this device, is it can help better understand like how your recovery is doing from the
Mm-hmm.
day-to-day activities that you're doing.
Right.
And then, especially when it comes to stress, exercise, and strength training, due to the level of the stress that your body's going to be under, because this is how you can kind of gauge, okay, what's going on and how it's affecting you. So the HRV, as we call it, which is personal, is also affected by various factors such as your age, your health status, it's good or whatever, and then your fitness level. So the HRV can vary from 20 to over 120 is one of the ranges
Oh.
that it has.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're looking for in most cases is a higher HRV, heart rate variability. Uh, that's more beneficial versus the lower, which is not as beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could be a sign of overtraining, it could be a sign of illness. It can give you some heads up on what's going on with your body. So that's the thing is pretty important.
Hmm. Well, that's all some good information and pretty important things. Can you tell us a little bit more, though, about HRV itself?
Yeah, probably be a good idea. So, a healthy heart does not really beat regularly as people would think it would. So there's a
Hmm.
constant variation in milliseconds between heartbeats, which is that's what's called heart rate variability. That's what that actually is. So, like, some situations will result in an increase in the variation, while others will just be intervals that stay more constant. So they'll be more steady. But HRV actually reacts to distress or illness before your resting heart rate, which makes it a powerful signaler
Mm-hmm.
to understand stress levels, your recovery, and your general well-being. So it kind of gives you a heads up. So that's why it's good to keep an eye on it. And as you're using it, you kind of engage it with your personal perception of how you feel, and then you see these readings. So that's why I think it's pretty fascinating.
Wow. Well, that's a lot of pretty important information. I mean, you're talking about a lot of different things that can affect.
Yeah.
Um, so exactly, I guess as we get into this a little bit more, is there some more information that you have? Because for what you said so far, it's just Now I kind of understand why you did want to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So I'll kind of delve into a little bit more. All right, so a little more detail on HRV is it's really linked to the uh, autonomic immune system or nervous system,
Okay.
uh, known as an ANS, okay, autonomic nervous system. So, and then there's a balance between the parasympathetic, which is like rest and digest, and then you have the
Okay.
sympathetic, which is fight or flight branches. So you
Okay.
got three different things involved here. Okay, so that's what this. That's why it's is what it is. So when you by balancing the two forces, the autonomic nervous system helps you to respond because it's set on automatic
Okay.
to daily stressors and regulate some of your body's other processes and important systems like the heart rate, the respiration,
Mm-hmm.
and then digestion. 'Cause digestion also has a pretty decent effect of stress on the body, which people don't realize.
Hmm. Okay.
So, as I mentioned before, the heart rate variability is associated with with rest and digest, which is important, your general fitness, and then good recovery. Whereas, if you have more where it's lower, then you have more fight or flight, stress related situations, and then potentially illness. So when it stays
Mm-hmm.
low, that can be signs that you're coming down with a cold. That can be signs you're coming down with the flu. It can be signs you're overtrained. It can be signs you need. The biggest thing is you need more recovery, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're going to want to kind of learn from it. Then as you're engaging it, you can kind of feel your body. You learn how your body responds to these readings.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had mentioned that you use the Aura Ring and have been using it, and I
Yeah.
know that everyone's different, but what's been your experience using the Aura Ring so far?
Okay. So and I was really intrigued when I first got it because these things aren't cheap. They're about $300 or more.
Wow.
But
Okay.
the thing that was interesting, of course, an Apple Watch is, pretty expensive, and
Right. Right.
so is the other things are too. But
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of curious how it would work. So the interesting thing that I've noticed is, for example, if I drink alcohol, my readings always come back with a lower readiness score. Now, I do take the beef liver capsules to help offset, how I wake up, but it still affects my heart rate and my body temperature. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm learning from this. Okay. And I've also noticed that during allergy season, I'm getting different readings as well, which aren't good because the pollen has so much effect on my recovery.
Right.
So, as an example, my last good readiness score is what it's called, or well, that's not. It's one of the readings that you get.
Mm-hmm.
It was on like a Thursday, back in October the 20th when I was checking it, and so for the past 5 days, it hadn't been very good. Which I was like, what the hell's going on? And
Right.
so, and I could also tell my strength and my endurance were affected as I was training, but I also had alcohol, on that Friday and that Sunday. So, as I was kind of like, okay, how's this going to affect me? I was just kind of curious, and I could definitely tell a difference. And so, it just means that training wise, not going to be a good training session because, I did some alcohol, and then I always drink my alcohol,
Right.
midday, like 3 or 4 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
so that I give myself plenty of time for it to clear out before I go to bed. But even with that, it still affects my sleep more
Mm-hmm.
than I would acknowledge.
Interesting. Interesting. So, did you change up your training because of this?
Well, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of choice. My energy levels weren't good. The strength was not as good.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, what I had to do is just use common sense and cut back on the volume. And then I focused on getting some more sleep. And so, as I did those changes, then my numbers come back much better. So, I was learning, okay, so if I'm really training hard and I'm getting these numbers, I got to cut back the training. And if my numbers are really good, then that means I can up my training. So these are some good
Gotcha.
signals that I'm learning from using this technology.
Really some interesting information. The whole heat temperature from alcohol kind of intrigued me too, because, I think that kind of makes sense. All right. So, do you feel that the tracking of your HRV has been helpful?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, just give me the feedback. How my body's responding. And then the different levels of stress and recovery. So these are signals that I can use. And I've had days where I tried to work through a low score. I mean, I think,
Right.
well, I'm going to see if I can do it, and it was a struggle. So I'm like, okay. So
Gotcha.
now when I get a low score, it's like, okay, I can keep some intensity, but I can't go too long because I'm probably going to affect my recovery, which is not going to,
Hmm.
I'm going to end up wasting workout if I do that.
Right. Right.
So when my score was higher, everything went much better. My strength is good, my endurance is good. So then so first thing I do when I wake up is I see what my readings are to kind of figure out, okay, how I'm going to affect my training in the morning because I train in the morning. So that's
Right.
been, to me, a good game changer as far as getting a better understanding of, how things are working through with my nutrition, my recovery, my sleep, and all that.
So I guess the bottom line is this something that you would recommend that everyone should learn more about?
Well, I think yes. I think that the technology is going to be pushing everybody in that direction because you're getting feedback on your body that you wouldn't otherwise get. That's pretty personal.
Right. Right.
So when you got that going through, you can help increase, help actually reduce the likelihood of being overtrained, which is going to be a waste of time, but also give you heads up that could be coming down with something, so you can get on the offensive to not let that bug take a hold of you. So, like with
Right.
cold symptoms, if you feel like you're getting this kind of reading and it could be a cold, then you can start taking the zinc ahead of time because the zinc helps to stop the cold virus from replicating. You can shorten the duration of the cold really rapidly just by
Hmm.
getting a jump start on it. And then again, if you're coming back and you're run down, you need to get some more rest. Otherwise, it's going to create challenges. So, when things get out of balance, you can just really understand. Okay, am I coming down with something? Is my body overstressed? Am I not? Because if you got a lot of stress, it's going to affect you. And if your recovery is not good, then obviously you need to adjust for that and see where you can get more
Hmm.
rest. And so I did have one day this week where I actually got 8.5 hours of sleep, and my readings come back really good. So I was like, okay. So a lot of times, you feel like sleep's not important. Well, it gives you the feedback of how important it really is to me, anyway.
Right. Right. Well, all that does make sense, and it's a lot of good information. But besides HRV now, besides that, what else
Yeah.
have you learned from your Aura Ring? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, like I mentioned before on the sleep, it's really helped me to better understand what I'm looking for when it comes to sleep.
Hmm.
Because you kind of just take it for granted. You go to bed, you wake up, okay, I feel pretty good, so I probably got a good night's sleep. So, which is what everybody else is doing right now, in my opinion. So,
Hmm.
so what this is telling me, I can look and see how much REM sleep I'm getting, rapid eye movement sleep. It tells me how much of the deep sleep, which is the restorative sleep, which is where hormones are involved as well. It tells me how I'm doing over there, and that's one of the areas I've been struggling on is that good deep sleep. And so I've been working on trying to improve that, and I'm slowly learning ways to do it. But when I get a good amount of the deep sleep and the REM sleep, I feel great. I'm bulletproof the next day.
Hmm.
Everything's on target. But I'm still kind of learning different things that would enhance it. And so that's kind of a challenge, but they do provide a lot of resources in what you do, you have the ring, and then there's an app that you download. And so the ring and the app communicate together. And the nice thing is with the new ring that they have out, it has an oxygen sensor. Like mine doesn't have that. So it
Right.
even
Right.
gives you more feedback now. But these things, when you start knowing how to manage your sleep better and get that feedback, you can kind of really take control of good recovery and making sure if you want a good workout, but if you're not recovered, don't go in there and try to do a bunch of work. It's going to be counterproductive because you're not going to recover well and you're going to be overtrained. Now you're just creating more problems, more likelihood to get sick or to get super run down, which is
Hmm.
not beneficial at all.
Absolutely. Now, I am kind of curious. I know that you talked about the other devices, but it's kind of strange that a lot of the most popular devices don't offer HRV. Um, there's all kinds of fitness trackers out there. We've seen them, but
Yeah.
this must be something that it's probably headed in that direction that they're all going to be adding eventually. What do you think?
Yeah, I think what you're going to see again, this is my opinion on it, but you're seeing more and more of it start to come to the surface because people. like for me, I
Hmm.
didn't know what to expect, but now I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep using it. So,
Gotcha.
and that's
Gotcha.
the thing because the ring has sensors built into it. So, the Apple Watch has sensors built into it. So it has to be an apparatus that has sensors that are tracking your heart rate to be able to do that. And you're seeing all
Hmm.
these products come to the surface. The thing is okay, what's going to be the most accurate is the other thing you're looking at. So
Right.
that's another thing that's going to be juggled. But yeah, I think this is going to be the wave of the future. And it really it keeps you from having to wing it all the time and guessing how you're doing with what you're doing.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you could start using this as a tool. So, my recovery's good. I'm going to hammer it on this training session, or I'm going to get a good day of productivity because I know that my sleep was good and all my other numbers were good. So you
Right.
had that confidence knowing that. So that's a nice step. But then also when things don't come back so good, like, okay, if your day's not going well, you kind of understand why that is. And so you're just like,
Hmm.
okay, I just need to get some more recovery and focus on that. So now I can get the most out of it. So another thing
Correct.
you can also do, as you get older, like I'm 59, when these readings start coming back kind of weird, these could be signs that you got something else going on. And so,
Right.
you
Right.
could have, and so it could potentially, again, this is just my opinion, it could potentially help with heart attacks, strokes, and other illnesses that start to affect the body and keep them just creeping up on you out of nowhere. So that's the other
Absolutely.
thing I think is really important for people to kind of keep in mind. And there's probably a lot of people that are starting to engage with this stuff, but this is what I've kind of learned. And so I think it's going to be stuff from the future, definitely.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, running out of time. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would say, in my opinion, you should start investigating these tools because they're making them really good. It's just a matter of which one you're going to spend. They're all about $300, and then some of them have a monthly fee to maintain the software.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of decide that. Um, but there's pros and cons to all of them, so you want to kind of do your homework.
All
I'm
right.
pretty good. I like the Aura Ring over some of the other options because I've talked to some people about the Whoop wrist strap because you wear it on your wrist. And some of the people, I have some clients that have it, and they're not as happy with the
Hmm.
accuracy in their opinion of some of the readings. Now, doesn't mean that maybe has not corrected it, but that was some of the feedback I got. So
Gotcha.
you definitely gotta do some do some reviews on it and make your decision from there because these are not cheap investments. So
Absolutely. So you got the Apple Watch, the Aura Ring, and the Whoop.
yeah, Whoop wrist strap.
Whoop.
And
Okay.
there's probably some more stuff out there, but these are the ones that I'm familiar with because of my clients having them and using them.
All right, Armin, great information on HRV. It's something everybody should take a look at. And stand by for a quick word from NSP Nutrition. Armin and I will be right back.
Hey, and welcome back to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
I'm Frank Mills. Thanks for joining us. Hey, before we start here, there's a lot of good, great, fantastic products on the NSP Nutrition website. They've really done some beautiful things with the website. So if you haven't checked it out lately, please do so. The first thing I looked is they got new product alerts on there. They've
Yeah.
got, a, some sales going on. You get 10% off of Vince's gym. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on. So definitely you want to go check out nspnutrition.com today. So I just wanted to get that out there.
All
Um,
right.
Armin, fan questions, man. Look, a lot of these we've been going back through because we wanted to acknowledge everybody who's commented on
Yeah.
YouTube or has sent a question. So some of these may be dated questions, but we're still going to let you know that we're
Well, other people
acknowledging you,
might,
right?
yeah, well, other people may have a similar question. So it just helps those people that, you know, not sure, but if this question gets answered, then hey, good news.
Absolutely. So, you know, back about a month or so ago, we were asking you for topics for the show, and we were giving out a prize back that time. And it
Right.
started with one prize. We ended up giving 3 prizes, remember? So
Yeah.
um, it was pretty interesting. But we have a guy that actually commented on YouTube, Mark, last name Adamski. I'm hoping I'm praying that I'm saying
Well,
that the correct way. But he had a bunch of, I mean, a bunch of show topics. He put a bunch of them on there, but he was talking
yeah.
about things that were interesting to him.
Mhm.
And, he's a big fan of NSP Nutrition. He was commenting on how much he loves the milk and egg protein, how
Yeah.
delicious it is, how delicious it is. But, Armin, the bottom line is he's thanking us and more so you for your knowledge, for all the ways that it's helping him with his workouts, his nutrition, and the NSP products, of course, to help him get there as well. So
Right.
that's what Mark was saying. So we just wanted to acknowledge him like that. But he said that we should really look into max OT training. And is that something that, do you feel that a show may pop up out of that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that type of training, so I'll have to do some checking on that
Okay. Okay.
because I'm not up to speed on that one. I mean, there's so many different training strategies out
Mm-hmm.
there, and they all work to a
Right.
certain level. So it's just a matter of, okay, does this one make sense for your environment and what your goal is and that kind of thing, and then how long will it provide benefits? So,
Right. Right.
but I'll have to look into that one.
So anyway, Mark, we appreciate it very much. Next comment was from You Gotta Be a Freak on YouTube. And not sure who that is, but he said that we should talk about Vince's weight gaining diet. Now, did we talk about that yet or did we not?
Yeah, we did something on the bulking program, uh, and it's in one of the other episodes that we touched on. And
Okay.
it's also in the Vince's online gym. There's the bulk program, which includes the training regimens and the nutrition side of it. So that's included if you decide to do the Vince's online gym. You can
Uh-huh.
get firsthand video demonstrations of the exercises, and then you get all the nutrition that was recommended for that. But the bulk program is basically you do a detox to clear out the system, get all the mucus out of the system, and then you go heavy protein. So it's going to be heavy cream, you know, red meat, just a lot of meat. So you want to take digestive enzymes for that, and just follow that program. He recommends a 6 week period when you do the bulking program.
Okay.
So, and I think that also the reason for that is to keep you from putting on too much body fat. Being in a calorie surplus can help with that, but it also, if you put on too much body fat, then that's just a real pain in the neck to get off. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to do is find that balance where you get quality muscle and not too much body fat with it, because then it's a lot easier to manage. So, but the Vince's bulk program I've done, and it's a good strategy.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Next question is from A Ocean. And this came from YouTube as well. Armin, I'm currently doing the Master Series, and I'm
Okay.
approaching month 3, 6x6. Can
Yeah.
I ask, or if you could suggest, taking a 15 or 30-second rest after each set?
All right. So I think with Vince's format on the 6x6 is probably stay more in the 30-second rep range or 30-second resting period, just because you're using heavier weight, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're looking to do, is get a little more density from the heavier weight. So I mean, you can always do the 15-second.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe at least start out for a few weeks doing 30-second, but then if you
Right.
want to test the waters to see how well you hold up, they go to 15. I mean, the intensity with a 15-second break is pretty good. So you'll
Right.
may have a hard time getting your 6 reps if you stick with the same weight, and that's what the strategy is be able to maintain the same weight but get those 6 quality reps doing it. So
Okay. Okay. Well, A Ocean, hopefully that helps you out. Armin, I have a neighbor who actually watched last week's show,
Okay, cool.
and he asked me something because I kind of know you more than just the people watching on the show. We do the show together. I've known you for quite a while.
Right.
He said, when you see Armin in the show, you don't really get to see Armin. You get to see his shoulders and his head. He said, I know it's funny, but he said, when I go on Facebook, I went to like kind of see what kind of shape this guy's in, because of course I told him. And he said, it depends on the picture that you look at of Armin, but in every picture, he looks like he's in great shape, but his competition pictures look like above, like, wow, holy crap. So he was asking, like,
Uh,
how do you enhance your look to look from a normal guy to when you go to a competition, it shows every curve and ripple of muscle? So that was his question. Just curious.
okay, yeah, that's just part of getting in better condition and dieting down further than where you are. So, and at the same time, keeping the muscle you have and getting leaner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just something I've been training for 40 years, so I've kind of figured out what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what a lot of guys have to do to compete. What you have to be really ripped, so to speak, to
Mm-hmm.
even get the judge's attention. And the thing is unfortunately, sometimes the guys that are skinnier that are ripped, they may give them the nod because they're more ripped versus having more muscle and being ripped. So, and
Right,
I had to
right.
kind of learn that thing. So it's just something I've learned how to do. And when you do that, and once you figure it out, then it's a lot easier to be able to keep doing it. So
Well,
I don't know if that I
too,
don't know if that answers
right,
the question,
right.
but
No, it did, but also an advantage you have that I believe in is you're doing it naturally. You're not really taking anything to enhance your system that's not natural, right?
well, on that note, I am on hormone therapy from
Mm-hmm.
a medical standpoint, but it's just to maintain proper levels for someone my age. So that's the only thing, and I'm on a very small amount of it. But some people think that that's like, oh, well, you're on steroids, you're on
Right.
all this stuff, and no, that's not the case. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you feel differently, whatever, it doesn't matter because I know what I'm doing because I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it for my health. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I was always in good shape. So, but to maintain my hormone levels to be in decent in the range you need to be in, you have to have some strategy with that. So I do it with supplementation. I do it with nutrition. And then, my testosterone levels were not as good as they used to be. So I had to supplement that a little bit to get them back to the optimal range, which is around 850 to 900 is
Mm-hmm.
where I land. So that's where I'm at. So, technically it's not all natural, so to speak, because I
Right,
do have to
right.
supplement some hormone there, but I'm not doing what all these other people are doing that are trying to get really big and doing these, mega doses and all this stuff. That's just not healthy either. I'm in
Right.
it for health, so that's what I'm doing. I'm not looking to do more than what's normal. So, anyways,
Absolutely. And that's the first initial thought from a lot of people who either they're in the fitness world or they're not, is, oh yeah, that guy does steroids. There's no way you can look that way naturally. When we know different, there is,
well, yeah,
yeah. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. So
yeah. I mean, it
all
is
right,
what it is. So, at the same time, I'm just, I'm a shoot it straight to you kind of personality. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I'm super all natural, but at the same
right,
time,
right,
I'm not what these other people are doing. And the thing is a lot of these people taking all this extra stuff, they don't look any better than me at all. So
right,
you
right.
got to know what to do with nutrition and supplementation, which is what Vince promotes. But I'm 59. So, as you get older, it's not the same game. So, and I wouldn't recommend to anybody, in their 20s and 30s or any of that, because you really don't need that if you know how to eat and supplement properly. So that's just my thoughts on it.
And that's not ego, that's fact. So I mean, it's just how, right? I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is from RJ Enright.
Okay.
He's asking if NSP carries a singular L form amino acid that was recommended by Vince. And, that's one I wasn't sure on, Armin, but I thought, hey, it's worth a shot. I wouldn't, I'm not 100% sure if you knew that or not.
Yeah, I mean, what's most important, I mean, L-form is part of the formula, but the most
Mm-hmm.
important is having all the essential amino acids from the right sources. And so the amino 1000 is an egg white extracted amino. So you're going to have all the essential amino acids. And so you're good to go. And that's originally what Vince wanted, but they were hard to find back in the day. So then they were doing liquid aminos and other type
Mm-hmm.
of extracts. But the amino 1000 will work, and that's what I take. I take 6 of those before I start my training, so that as I'm breaking down the muscle from my training, I have those amino acids in my system. So when I get done, they're there to help with the rebuilding as I eat food about 30, 45 minutes after I train.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't need to take aminos before and after,
Right.
because I already
Right.
took them before. So when I eat, I'll get the aminos after as well. So, and I find that works really well. I get good recovery from it.
Excellent. All right. Well, RJ, hopefully that helps. And,
Yeah.
here we are at the end of another show. And hey, we're going to ask you to keep those questions coming.
Yeah.
Uh, Lots of ways to do it, though. You can scan those QR codes above our
Mm-hmm.
heads. You can also contact us through YouTube, comment there. If you're listening to a podcast, the best way is to shoot us an email at support@nspnutrition.com, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
get that information, and we'll include your question, topic, suggestion, whatever you have. Send it in. We want to hear it, and your content will be a part of our show. So,
Yep.
Armin, another show in the books, man. What are you going to come up with next? Are you getting some more ideas? Are we heading in another direction? I mean, what's coming
Well,
up?
we're working on it. So,
We're
but
working
yeah,
on.
all the more ideas, all the merrier. But yeah,
All right.
I'm working on it. So yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate it. And join Armin and I next week for a brand new episode of the NSP Nutrition Show.
Hey, thanks for checking out the NSP show. Go to nspnutrition.com, where you can find a whole heap of resources to help you achieve stunning definition and eye-popping levels of muscularity. Don't forget, you can save 10% on your first order by using the code NSP show at the checkout. Catch you next time.